Hey everyone, this is Dan, the founder of Arcas Games, and in this Q1 investor presentation, I will cover our view on the Web3 gaming industry, how we are positioning ourselves for success, and key updates on what we are building in the Arcas ecosystem. Firstly, we've done some work on the overall branding. We've got a new website with some clean aesthetics and some cool merch like this Arcas Champions cap. These things will help us solidify and grow our brand in the industry whilst making our mission, games powered by players, clear to everyone who comes across Arcus. Now, in a market where Web3 gaming projects are shutting down left and right, we're going nowhere, right? Our goal for the last 3+ years has been to be a top Web3 gaming project, and that hasn't changed. So, putting together our experience, determination, creativity, we are making sure that we are going to be well positioned to win and become a leading innovator and brand in this space. So let's start with where we are, right? So here I'm showing obviously the Arcas historical chart. I think it's important for us to go through this because most of you guys are invested in the Arcas token. Now, after we originally launched in 2021, for the first 6 months, we experienced the biggest Web3 gaming bull market to date. And alongside this, we also had a very big catalyst when Binance Labs incubated and invested in us. And this created a 100x return, which is what people obviously are looking for in the altcoin space. Followed by this was a very long downtrend in the bear market, and things picked up again in 2023 towards the end of the year. And there we had a 6-month bull market. This was obviously in combination with Bitcoin going on a pretty good run. And during this period, we had a 17x return for holders. And now we're once again in a downtrend, going back to our TGE price of 2 cents. So what's important about this? Well, the key difference between these two different runs is that in one, we had a very bullish catalyst, whereas in the other, we were kind of just following the trend. So, one of the key things that I've been focusing on, besides having a good product, is positioning ourselves so that the next run we have that extra bit of something special that really puts us at the front of the industry. So what have we been doing? Obviously, the last few months we have been really focused on building on Sonium. Sony is already the #1 gaming company by revenue, and I have no doubt that Sonium will become the #1 Web3 gaming ecosystem. Some other things to consider: Sony recently, alongside Bandai Namco, another top 5 gaming company in Japan, invested 69 million in a Web3 startup building on Sonium. This shows their commitment to actually build, invest, and develop the Sonium ecosystem, and obviously we're very excited for what's to come. Since we started building on Sonium, we've done quite a number of things. The first thing was that we won the Sonium Spark incubation. There were about 20 projects selected out of 1,700, and this really boosted our awareness on the actual chain. It also gave us direct support from the Sonium team, which has been brilliant to work with, and co-marketing support, right? They shared our trailer for Arcas Champions, they helped with our NFT mint, we did game nights, and this really helped expose us to the audience which they're building and raise awareness for us being, a project on Sonium chain. Thirdly, we got a 100K Google Cloud grant thanks to the Sonium Spark incubation. This is great. Google Cloud has everything you would really want as a developer, and the 100K will last us, I think, over 2 years at this stage. So that financial support also comes in really handy for us. Fourth thing, we recently won the Hypersonic Builder Grant Grand Prize. This was sponsored by Startail Cloud Services, one of the main infrastructure providers on Sonium, and Sequence, who do some really cool infrastructure things on Web3 gaming. And this prize gives us obviously more financial backing and also support and co-marketing from these two teams, which are key players in the industry and on Sonium. Lastly, we had the support from Sonium for the Bass Sonium NFT mint, which is when OpenSea integrated on the chain. And glad to say that even to date, it is one of the top NFT collections on Sonium. We don't have so much competition, but I believe that this has grown our exposure, grown our community, and over time will also help us gain more exposure to the overall ecosystem. So summarizing these things, we are now positioned as a leading gaming project on Sodium, which, as I said, really excited about what is going to happen in the future for this ecosystem. Now, moving onwards, the ecosystem updates. First thing to make clear is we're effectively developing 4 different platforms. We have the Arcas Hub, which is where we currently have our bridge and some other functionality. Now, we want to basically refresh this and improve the user experience to make it a one-stop shop for everything related to Arcas, all the assets, functionality, etc. So that you guys have, one place to go to focus on, to get updated on the ecosystem. Then Arcas Champions, our flagship game, apes with fruit guns. Skill staking, our cool and innovative take on Web3 gaming and tokenomics. And then the GameStar application to test games and earn rewards. Let's start with the Arcas Hub, right? As I said, we want this to be a one-stop shop. Nowadays, there's a lot of confusion in Web3. There's a lot of different wallets, etc. And we also have assets on different chains. So what I wanted to do was have a single platform that made it clear what each asset did and what the benefits of having them were. Also, which assets we were still supporting from the past. And that's what we're going to be doing with the Arcas Hub. This will also introduce another layer of a gamified loyalty rewards layer, right? So the idea behind this is that we want to reward people who are loyal to Arcas and who've been supporting us for all of this time. I know some of you guys have been with us since the BAS days in 2021. So we want to introduce that, and effectively by having different assets, also the BAS Sonium NFTs, also Gamesters, and the recently released Sonium badges, you're going to be able to access benefits and perks within the overall ecosystem. Now, Arcas Champions, obviously we released our demo on Steam late February, and the reception has been great so far, and it's also been an excellent learning experience for us and the team. After we released that, I'll admit there were some bugs, etc., but so many of those issues have been fixed, and the latest build, which I think went live around middle of April, is very stable and fun, which is obviously great. We've had some fun game nights and with both our community and other communities playing. And also another thing that we're adding now is a new game mode. This will have a ranked aspect to it and an integration with skill staking. So that's what's coming next for Arcas Champions. Our cinematic trailer was complete. The team did an excellent job on that, introducing the overall IP and world that we're building. And we also were able to feature it on the Future Games Showcase, which has a very broad audience, especially in Web2 gaming. And then we've also been pushing and growing our socials on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. YouTube has been doing the best. We've had about over 100,000 visualizations. TikTok and Instagram also doing great. But what's so nice to see is that we have a continuous influx of people who are seeing Arcas Champions for the first time, asking what is the name of the game, this looks fun, and making other comments, engaging with us. And we actually see a correlation between that and the wish lists on Steam, right? So as you can also see here, we've had over 1 million impressions on Steam, which is great because that is where you want to be, right? That is where the gamers are. And we have a continuous increase in people wish listing our game. The number isn't huge yet, but what's important is the continuous growth. And we are seeing obviously increased growth with, well, firstly we had the Steam Next Fest, then the Future Games Showcase, but also growth tied to the actual content which we're releasing on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, these shorts and stuff. Another thing is the Prime program. Now, over these last 2 years, we have at times had issues to track and fix bugs, but now with the Prime program, they've done an excellent job in helping us fix issues all before we actually release them. And we now have a very good pipeline working with a platform called Beta Hub that allows us to submit issues the moment that they're found with all of the data that's required for the developers to then go understand what the issue is and then fix it. And the results these last 2 months have been excellent. So moving forward, this will really help us deliver more polished and refined experiences with Arcas champions. Third platform, skill staking. So as it says here, there's no lie that Web3 gaming tokens right now, I believe, are suffering, right? There is very little hype, very little demand, and I think that innovation has really been stagnating. Besides that, also obviously demand for these tokens hasn't been very high. So what skill staking aims to do is really innovate and introduce a brand new take and system on how Web3 gaming tokens can work and be integrated with games. Our focus obviously is games which are mostly higher end and which have online competitive modes, although the system can also work for mobile. But one of the key things this unlocks is it creates a system where tokens make sense and games can also release on Steam, because I think that that's also a big issue in the industry, that Steam does block NFTs and tokens and generally blocks Web3 gaming economies. So we need a new system that allows these tokens to have utility and value accrual thanks to a game product doing well, whilst also allowing that product to be distributed to Steam, where the majority of the PC gaming user base is. And well, here we can show you a little bit of what the skill staking platform looks like right now. We've had excellent feedback from partners, which we've shown this to and who are excited about what we're building here. The first public version of skill staking will be live towards the end of June with that new game mode that I talked about in Arcas Champions. So this will be the first time we actually finally release this out and have the utility come in for the Arcas token. After this release, we will keep iterating and improving the platform based on the feedback you guys give us and look to onboard more games into this system. Fourth but not least, Gamesters. Now, Gamesters haven't been our main focus, but this is an asset which really helped us get to this stage, so we aren't going to abandon this community. The core idea behind the platform, which we actually released the website for, which you can see, is testing games and earning rewards, right? This V1 of the actual platform basically explains this concept and how the system is going to work, and has an NFT marketplace integration on BNB chain. The reason why we decided to add this is partly because PancakeSwap removed their NFT marketplace, so we thought it made sense to add this. The next stage of this application will be adding the staking features and the playtesting aspect. So you'll be able to stake Gamesters into the platform. Then you'll be able to view and access playtesting opportunities, play games, submit feedback. That feedback gets verified by another randomly selected Gamester, which ensures a high quality of feedback, and then you basically earn, for the most part, token rewards from the games which use the platform. The idea behind the self-verification system is that we want to make sure that the quality of feedback that the Gamester community is giving to external games and clients is always of a good quality. And this will boost the whole community for everyone involved, right? It has to be like a team effort. Everybody has to, go into the platform, do these tasks and submit good feedback, verify it, and then the actual, this will create more demand from other games to use the platform, more opportunities, and we also expect that to translate into more demand for the actual NFTs. The third thing to touch upon for Gamesters is that we are considering the best chain for them to be. I'm more so thinking about bridging them and making them multi-chain, probably bringing them over to Sonium, potentially also having them on ETH. Reason being is that I feel like BNB chain hasn't really been focusing so much on NFTs, so it makes sense for them to be tradable and liquid on other chains where there's a bigger audience for these kinds of assets. And that wraps up the updates on the four products. So, finally, a lot of you guys ask us about our roadmap. Now, I don't want to provide a roadmap, 2 years down the line. Rather, I want to focus on, what's coming next and what we should be excited about and what we're delivering. So by end of June, which is the end of Q2, we're going to have this new game mode on Arcas Champions with ranked matchmaking, and it's going to be a 4v4 mode, so it'll be easier to actually fill out the game modes. And this will have the first integration of skill staking live on Sonium mainnet, meaning that With your Arcas tokens, you're going to be able to go on the skill staking platform and stake players who are actively playing Arcas champions on our demo version right now, and then be earning yield. The goal of this is to really raise awareness for what we are doing in the Web3 gaming ecosystem, because yeah, we want to see what people think, obviously, of skill staking. We want to see people adopt the system, and we expect to get a lot of traction coming from this. The other thing, as I alluded to initially, we're working on this new Arcus hub, and we want to introduce the V1 by end of June. This will also introduce the 3-tier badge system. Now, we don't want to give out a million badges, but these 3-tier badges will be like the long-term final badges that we offer on the Arcus hub. It'll be a gold, silver, and bronze one, and there'll be certain criteria you have to meet in order to get one. But these things will unlock perks across our ecosystem, the first one of which will be a yield boost on skill staking. So look forward to that also releasing. Then throughout Q2, Q3, we're gonna obviously keep iterating and improving Arcus Champions and skill staking, but then we're gonna focus a little bit more on the Gamester web app. Here is when we'll look at introducing the staking and testing of games for rewards. And we're also going to keep adding to the Arcus hub. In the V1, we're going to mostly focus on showing assets and this tier badge system. In the V2, we're going to basically port over the functionality we have in the current hub right now, like the bridge. We're also going to add the Arcus Council so that you can vote with tokens too on the Arcus hub. And lastly, we want to add another layer of gamification, and this will tie in a lot with the Bastonium NFTs and with the different rarity tiers associated with them. So this is what's coming next. Obviously, we have more planned down the line, but these are the things that you should focus on and look forward to. The other thing that we are continuously working on is fundraising. As I said at the start, we aren't going anywhere, but without a doubt, we haven't raised so much money, and we haven't raised since 2022. So more fundraising will allow us to do more, and especially to market what we are doing a lot more. We've had a lot of introductions and discussions with VCs, although I'll be honest, Web3 gaming funding in VCs right now is in a bit of a brutal spot. So I feel like we have to wait for the market a little bit. We've also started reaching out to Web2 publishers. The reason why we think a Web2 publisher would be really good is because they can take, the flame that we've lit with the game and with our wish list and traction on Steam, and effectively pour gasoline on it, right? They can bring in a lot of marketing expertise and fresh funding that can really turbocharge the actual audience that comes across Arcas Champions and sees it, and gets us a lot more visibility in the gaming world. That's all for today, guys. So firstly, thanks to all of you guys for supporting us up until this stage. If you have any questions, feel free to jump into Telegram. I'm always very responsive there, or on Discord. We have other team members who can answer any questions you have. And again, thanks for supporting us. Lots of great things coming our way.